So I'm Ayesha, and like I did my bachelor's in biotechnology, and I really wanted to get into a field where into a study program which has both life sciences and business. And that's when I was really struggling to find consultancies or anyone to guide me or work with me to to figure out which university caters to my needs. And that's when I came across LilacBuds. And so I think my very first meeting was with you in January 2022, I think. And that's when we were talking about, and that's when you gave me a very honest feedback about when I wanted to get into Johns Hopkins. And you were like, see, this is where your profile stands, and this is, this is where, if you want to get there, this is how you have to work. The most benefiting point of working with you guys was catering to my needs. You're placing what I exactly wanted, which program I was interested in, what specifically I wanted, rather than, okay, these are the consultants, these are the universities we have tie-ups with, and you can either pick and apply from to any of them. So when I was writing my SOPs, it was a wholly guided process which started with a master class. Then when I like Prayash would like literally like you would like edit the SOP like 4 or 5 times, make me rewrite, correct everything, and like give me feedback on how I could improve my SOP.
Hey, hi Ayesha, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you very much, and congratulations on all the amazing admits that you have today. So
Thank
let's get
you.
started. Yes, amazing. Let's get started with knowing a little bit more about you for the audience to know what your background is, who you are, and what where you are in your application admission journey.
Okay, so I pursued I did a bachelor's in biotechnology. Then I did a postgraduate diploma in clinical research, and the programs we applied to were a mix of biotech and business, because that's where I wanted to get into. So we applied to UCL, UCD, and UNSW,
And you got
and
it.
we got in all the three.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. Cool. Okay, awesome. And UCL, UNSW, UCD, three different countries. Plus, you had more in your shortlist. I remember that.
Yeah.
For people who came from a bio and pharmaceutical background, biotech, pharmaceutical background, what would be your reason, rationale to pick these schools? Why did you choose these programs? What was your primary interest?
So it was very hard for me to find schools which catered my bio. I came from a life sciences background, and I have zero knowledge about business. So I didn't really want to jump into business. Like, I knew which field I wanted to go into, the narrow path of what I was choosing, and these were the programs which you try to help me find, which catered to all my required needs, which had like life sciences and also the business needs, which I wanted when I wanted to go into a business route.
Correct. I think, and the fact that you also came from a business family that was always like your parents, your dad specifically being a businessman. I think that was your also your motivation that getting into a business line would be ideal for you. Plus, you of course want to leverage your background and technical strengths to the fullest.
Yeah.
So, along with these three programs, UCL in UK, UCD in Ireland, and UNSW in Australia, which were the other programs we had shortlisted?
We shortlisted Utrecht Science and Business Management program, and then the other one was a dual degree program in Macquarie University, Master of Finance plus Master of Biotechnology.
That's right. Yes. Okay. Awesome. So now that we did these five programs, we applied to the first three out of the gate, which were your top three preferences. When you shortlisted these programs, you thoroughly went through the syllabus, the curriculum, everything else that the program offered. What was your anxiety? What was your fear? What were your primary thoughts as you selected these programs and you started applying?
My first concern was I am coming from a 3-year bachelor's, and most of my competitors or people who are going to apply with me would have like a 4-year technical degree. Hence, your suggestion to go with like the diploma did help, I think, in the application. And secondly, it was more like I'm not coming from a tier 1 or a tier 2 university. My university is like the most generalist university you can find in the country, and I think like like trying to write the SOP and everything to cater what exactly the school is demanding really helped.
So, okay, so you said the SOP, right? What the SOP demanded for the school. Tell me, what your original thoughts on the SOP were, and of course, share with for everybody else, how the process of SOP goes through, what are the kind of details we needed to do, what are the kind of steps you were made to go through forcefully by us sometimes to
Yeah.
actually reach the ideal SOP. So maybe you can share a little bit of snippet around your SOP creation journey.
Yeah, so like when you search for SOPs generally on Google, we get like very basic templates which everyone uses. And the other videos which I came across were like people applying for undergraduates. So the SOP for an undergrad is totally different than what you're applying for your postgrad. And my ideal situation was like maybe we should write a story, and that's how you're gonna tell your life story, and then you're gonna tell about your projects and everything. But then I think Rajiv and you conducted a masterclass for the SOP, and that really gave us a perspective on what exactly we should put in, from like explaining about why did we get into this particular field, what projects we have done which made us want to shift or pivot into a different direction.
Okay, cool. And once you had your SOP, you had this big pangs with the LOR as well, getting the recommendations right.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that journey from selecting your recommenders to actually getting them to write what you wanted them to write, and them, kind of editing whatever we wrote as well.
So from my experiences, how much ever you do, like I always pick more additional recommenders that like it will never be enough, because whatever, if some professors might give you what you want, but some might not.
That's
So,
true. And when they're not, you should have some backup plan and have something ready. But what is do you feel that the recommendations that we drafted together, were they talking to your strengths in class and what you bring academically to the institute you're applying?
yes, definitely. One of my professors like really highlighted where I was, what I worked at, and like what are my what are my strengths, and how actually I was benefiting in the classroom. And I think that recommendation really did help us.
True. All right. And picking once you were up to start applying to these programs, you got the admits all in some order of succession. How did you feel getting the 3 admits, of course, and more importantly, how are you going through making the decision of where you first wanted to go?
Okay, so I think it started fairly easy when I got my first admit from UC. This was the first time I actually cried. I'm like, okay, I did get the admit. It's not like, oh, I didn't, like, it's not a complete fail. Like, we did get an
Wonderful.
admit.
I didn't know that you had tears in your eyes when you actually saw the admit.
Oh, I did. I did record the entire thing.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so one was of course success on the first UCD one, and then what happened after the other two were also big, right? UNSW now a top 10 university in the world. What's the thought process?
Yeah, so it was like around, I think it was 2 days before I got the admit. I was like crying in my bed. I'm like, I don't know what's gonna be my situation. So I was like, maybe someone in the universe just help me. And then 2 days later, I get the admit from UNSW. And then it's like morning 7 a.m. and in my bed, I'm like, oh, okay. I did get I couldn't believe myself, because it's a dual degree program. It's one of the best universities for an MPH and an MHA. And I was like, okay. I started gaining confidence in myself, in my profile, with all the work we put through.
And and then you finally got UCL, of course, that all happened. And then probably will last on the pecking order because the first two had already overwhelmed you, made you feel excited.
Yeah.
And then we started this process around your loan applications and helping with figuring out the right financial fit for you as well. So tell our viewers a little bit about how they should go about figuring out getting the loan in a timely way. Of course, there's a process to it, reaching out to banks and NBFCs and getting approvals. Without, of course, you can share the specifics, but share a little bit about your own journey through finding the right loan partner and, then making your final selection.
Yeah, so I feel like when you start getting your offer letters, that's when you really have to sit and figure out, you have to pick one university, like which program you're exactly wanting to go in. So you can put all your time and efforts in, prioritizing the documents that particular country needs. and for the education loan. So because the universities we applied into were in two different. One was in top 50 and the other one was in top 200. So they were due the banks will have a little problem accessing, like, if you suddenly want to go to another other program.
Correct. And then based on the ranking, based on the country, there are different documentation requirements, from tax return filings to what kind of collateral maybe you'll end up putting for that country, or what is the amount of loan that they might sanction as a percentage of the total cost of attendance. Everything will vary for every country, right? And